All right. Well, earlier on, before I rudely interrupted Chris, we were talking about keeping, or rather getting rid of the Chelsea goalkeeper, Kepa. Firstly, do you think they can actually sell him, Chris?
Well, I think that's a very good question. And if they do sell him, I think they can sell him, but as how much would they take? His values, it must have depreciated from his level of performance this season. But Frank's not going to worry too much about that. If he wants to win things at a big club, and the owner, as we know, is demanding, he hasn't been demanding this season because of the nature of the embargo. Next season, I think he'll want to see Chelsea challenge. He always has done since he's been at the club, Abramovich. So if Frank wants to challenge, he'll be going to the owner and saying, well, look, you want me to challenge? Get me some defenders, and I need a new keeper.
All right, well, let's look on a more positive spin for Chelsea. Players to keep. Giroud just scored a goal. Would you keep him in the long term for Chelsea, at least next season? I know that in January he was linked to perhaps move to Tottenham. It was on the cards at one point. What do you think, Chris?
Yes, I'd keep Giroud. You want squad depth. I know Werner's come in. Werner can play any position across the front line. He can play in behind as well. But you'd have to keep him. I think Frank would be hoping that Tammy Abraham will have developed nicely this season and be better for it next season. But of course, Giroud's a real handful on his day and proved extremely valuable this season when it looked like he was going to be surplus to requirements, if we're honest.
Dave?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that as you get older as a striker, so long as you can keep your fitness, and he does look like a fit lad. He always does, and he's strong as well. And I think that you can carve out different roles for yourself. As your legs go a little bit, but as a target man, it's still there for Giroud. In the air, winning balls, it's still there. In the box, it's all still there. And whether it's seeing out a game or trying to nick a goal, that kind of almost specialist player that we're seeing a little bit more of now, the last 15, 20-minute type of player who can either hold a game in your favour or turn it in your favour, well, he is probably one of the best out there for that. And he's already in the door.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give people a little peek behind the curtain of how things operate here. There's one name which Dave Kitson kept messaging in our group was Willian. Love him. Love Willian. William's amazing. Would you keep him at the club then, Dave Kitson?
Listen, I think that ship has sailed. I think he signed obviously a tiny contract for these last few games because of what's happened with the pandemic. If he hasn't signed anything now, he's not going to at Chelsea. I believe that they offered him a contract at the beginning of this season to tie him down. It hasn't materialised. Normally the case is when that happens that he's already made up his mind. Maybe he's seen enough of London, and there's new markets now for these great players. You don't fall down the pecking order anymore at 33, 34, 35. You can go off and you can have another multi-year career in the States or wherever you want to go. He's that good. He can have the pick. And if he does want to stay in Europe, if someone wants to give him a year, a big club, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Chris, what's your take on Willian? Should Chelsea try to go with his demands, or do they let him go, perhaps to a rival even, or overseas?
Well, if Dave was manager, I think he'd give him a 5-year deal.
No doubt.
On the WhatsApp. No, look, Dave's right. It looks like that ship has sailed. I think he's a really valuable player. But the fact Ziyech is coming in and Werner, and they have players who can play in those wide areas, I think Frank is looking for something a little bit different. It is a little bit of a surprise to me because, his fitness levels seem very, very good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up at somewhere like Spurs. If I'm totally honest, I think that he's still got a good few years in him left. Spurs,
Dave, you're a self-confessed Tottenham fan. Would you like to see Willian play?
I'd sign him just to be my mate. He'd be 9 out of 10 every week, I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. I have to say, in Mourinho's second period, when the players pretty much down tall, he was the only one that didn't. He was an 8 out of 10 every single week. And it was no surprise that Mourinho tried to sign him at Manchester United. And I think Chris might be onto something. You know, Mourinho, he'll probably be sniffing around there, but I think it's late in the day. I think whatever deal he's done is probably done.